Human Rights Watch is accusing Israel of committing war crimes and crimes against humanity in its war with Hamas. The report points to the forced displacement of Palestinians in Gaza. It adds that Israel's creation of permanent buffer zones and security corridors amounts to ethnic cleansing due to the destruction of Palestinian infrastructure and the disruption of life to the residents of those areas. The Israeli military has denied seeking to create permanent buffer zones, and Israel's foreign minister said earlier this week that Palestinians displaced in northern Gaza would be allowed to return at the end of the war. The report is the latest in a series from aid groups and other international bodies warning about the extent of harm to civilians in Gaza. Previous accusations have been dismissed by Israeli authorities.
Israel claims that it set up an evacuation system to allow Palestinians, civilians in Gaza to seek safety. But in order to move a civilian population, certain conditions must be met. First of all, it has to be temporary. It can only be until the hostilities are completed. Number two, civilians have to be directed to safer areas where their basic humanitarian needs are met. And thirdly, the civilians can only be evacuated if it's a dire military necessity. And on all three of these, our report and documentation shows that Israel has failed to meet the burden. Therefore, they are committing forced displacement. And because it's pursuant to a state policy, it is a crime against humanity. In addition to forced displacement, there are certain areas in Gaza where the Israeli military has bulldozed entire areas, buffer zones, the Netzarim Corridor, areas around the border fence. And in these areas, Palestinians have been displaced, and there's been mass destruction of all civilian infrastructure in those areas. In those areas, Israel has committed ethnic cleansing.
When Israel issues evacuation orders, those are to protect the lives of civilians in the Gaza Strip. That is why those are issued, and that is why they are in place. We understand that our war is with Hamas and not with the people of Gaza, and we will continue working based on that understanding and continuing to facilitate humanitarian aid to the people who need it.
منظمة حقوق الإنسان أجا متأخر ولكن إن شاء الله يكون خير إلنا ويكون خطوة إيجابية إلا الشعب الفلسطيني في غزة وشعبنا في غزة في الضفة وفي الشتات. شعبنا يعني مظلوم من عام 48 وهو مظلوم.
اليوم لما بتنزح معاناة جدا، يعني أنت لا مؤاخذة بالكلمة محتاج فلوس، محتاج مكان، محتاج أمان، محتاج شغلات كثيرة وتعب. صحيح إنه يعني المجلس الأمن أو جمعية حقوق الإنسان إنه أنصفت التعديات الإسرائيلية والنزوح القسري، إجا متأخر.